If you think the SAT and ACT are bad, imagine a college admission system that pays no attention to extracurricular work, school clubs, or volunteering. Only your score on a single test. And it places you on a career path you'll follow for the rest of your life. In China, that's reality. The college entrance exam, or GAOKAO in Mandarin, can send a student to the factory floor or to the top levels of China's booming economy.
Students feel extreme amount of pressure from the Gao Kao because it will determine which colleges they can attend. When applying for colleges in America, students are either accepted or denied based on their GPA, SAT, ACT, and extracurricular activities, while colleges in China accept or deny students based only on the Gao Kao. Pressure is felt from both parents, schools, and the country. One-child policy is the reason why there is a very high pressure for their one and only son or daughter to do well in their future and be successful. The GAOKAO results in schools putting all their attention on how to get good grades because high schools focus on their college admission rates. Academic pressure is so high that the practice of solving test problems will be repetitive. And also because completely ignoring non-test subjects, students don't learn things that are not on the test. The pressure is a great concern, and some even claim that high school students in China are the most pressured and unhappy group of students in the world. Another disadvantage of GAOKAO is its difficulty. GAOKAO consists sections of math, science, English, and Chinese. It lasts 9 hours over 2 days, and the most dreaded section is an 800-character essay that is supposed to test a student's writing and thinking ability. The essay questions are very hard. In one example, students were asked what Thomas Edison would think of cell phones if he were alive today. Sounds interesting to write, but is pretty demanding for an essay question. This increase in exam difficulty has swept all the way to elementary schools and even kindergartens. This has also caused young children to have very heavy academic burdens. China is a testing country, which is strongly approved by GAOKAO. In 2013, based on the data of National Education website, there are approximately 9.12 million students who take the Gao Kao. The population is even more than the entire population of New York City. China has a large population, therefore the competition is very fierce. However, Gao Kao provides a relatively fair, reliable, and stable platform for most teenagers, especially for students who come from poor families. It is also a test of students' psychological ability. 3 years of high school, the efforts to be tested in one exam. This is a big test of students' psychological ability. We interviewed 3 Chinese students about GAOKAO with very different situations. This is Alan, who took GAOKAO and studies at MSU. I used to study at a public school for 3 years, and in my view, GAOKAO is a way to evaluate what students have learned in those 3 years. There's a famous saying in China, life is incomplete without GAOKAO. In comparison, I think students who don't take GAOKAO tend to attend an international school, and most of them don't remember the basic subjects such as physics, chemistry, math, and biology. For me, my memories of these subjects are stronger than students who did not take the GAOKAO. Also, GAOKAO is not just a 2-day test. It is a conclusion and summary of 3 hard working years.
So to me, GAOKAO is like the final boss of an RPG game.
This is Zhang, who didn't take GAOKAO and studies at USC.
I didn't take a GAOKAO because I and my family already decided to study abroad when I was a child. So when I was high school, I didn't enroll to the general education system, but I took the AP course, which is have a no way connected with the GAOKAO. And I have a lot of friends who took GAOKAO. They divide by 2 kinds. One said the GAOKAO is interesting. Another one said actually they don't have a common with it. So for me, I think GAOKAO is kind of hard. That's it.
This is Qian, who took GAOKAO and studies at Nanjing Audit University.
我觉得高考是
I really want to thank the process of Gao Kao. With constant practice and training, I really remember and have gained useful knowledge about these subjects. It is an indispensable experience in my life. Although Gao Kao is tough, when I look back at it, I feel that what I have learned is very fulfilling, and I think I won't have a serious attitude about studying and preparing if I didn't take the Gao Kao. At last, Gao Kao really proves my willpower, motivation, and courage.
Professor Fong, it's good to have you with us on Wide Angle.
Good to be here.
People who watch the film one of the things they'll say is, and that is almost inhumane, how hard they drive these kids, how much pressure is on these kids, how much discipline is expected of them, all of that. How do they see American or Western education?
Well, when they're kids, they really envy it. When they're teenagers, and when I was doing my research, they often ask me, what do American teenagers do? And
Yeah.
I'd say, well, they spend half their day in school, but the other half they're playing sports or in school plays or hanging out with their friends or go out and party. And they're like, oh, that would be so nice, and oh, they're so envious. But once they're adults, they actually really value what the education they have, and they even say that they want to choose for their own children the kind of high K through 12 education that they had in China. Even though they hate the rote memorization, everyone agrees that's not the best way to learn.
But they don't hate it enough to
the
break
thing
with
is
it. There's an educational model here that they believe in.
The exam system is the one level playing field most of them will ever see in their lives, and that's why they really value it. It is a place where the children of poor farmers and the children of high officials can compete on a level playing field without anyone even knowing their name, on a multiple choice, mostly multiple choice. They're objectively graded, national test, anonymously. It just matters how you do on that test.
And is that theoretically true or actually true?
It actually is true.
So there's nobody paying off someone?
No, it might happen, but it would be extremely rare and difficult because it is so sacred. The fairness of this exam is so sacred that any kind of corruption is likely to be crushed. And that's not true for most things in China. There's so much riding on this for everyone that there will be real anger and sort of uncontrollable anger, and some of which will come from people with high positions of power because their kids are also in the system.
Right.
So, one case of corruption could cause a major upheaval.
So do you believe that a child from the smallest, poorest village has the same shot as the party leader's child in Beijing?
Well, not the same, but as close to it as they're going to get in this lifetime. Not exactly the same. Of course, there's
Okay.
cultural capital. There's, the parents can't teach the kid. If the parent doesn't know anything, the kid is on his or her own. It's really, they have to be maybe, 10 times as bright. So they don't have the same shot. But if they are 10 times as bright, they can do it.
At what age is that first cut made?
Usually it's made between junior high school and high school. In grade 9, they take an exam to get into high school. And actually that exam is more important than the exam in this documentary because that really determines whether you can have a chance at even going to any college.
So at 13 or 14 years
Right.
old, a huge part of a child's life is determined.
Determined, right.
And so if you're someone, I have a special affinity for the late bloomer in life because I was one. The late bloomers,
Tough luck.
yeah.
Right. You missed your chance.
Well, there you go.
Right.
Yeah.
And there are very few second chances. For this generation of only children, they're increasingly dissatisfied with that. They're saying they want second chances because every child is supposed to be a winner.
Don't you worry about the kid who's pretty smart, but maybe not the smartest?
Of course, and that's what people in China are really worried about that because most of their kids are
Right.
not the smartest. And they really want the system to be such that everyone, and really, now that there's only one child, everyone has to get the good white-collar job. That's what they're working for. That's why they want to be a superpower, because they see that once you're a superpower, you can have that many opportunities. The problem is right now isn't really that there aren't enough high schools or colleges in China. It's that there aren't enough white-collar jobs in China. There aren't enough opportunities.
How much of of what we see in Chinese education is driven by a notion to be bigger, better, stronger than the United States?
It's not just the United States, it's all the countries in the world. Doesn't every country want to be the best at everything? If they can.
Not to sound like a Harvard professor, but that's an interesting question, and I'm not sure. I'm honestly not sure about that. But
I think most countries want to be the best. You know, you want your child to be better than all his or her classmates, and you want your school to be better than all the other schools, and you want your province to be better than the other provinces. You want your sports team to be better. You want your country to be better. It's sort of, I think it's the same thing that Americans are always talking about.
So should American parents be afraid?
Afraid of what?
Of this model and its ability to produce better, smarter, more talented adults than the American model produces?
Depends on how paranoid they are, but I mean, there is a sense in which American kids are going to be competing against Chinese kids, but it's not just a zero-sum game. It's also a sort of win-win situation. I would hope that they might be happy that maybe their kids will someday be able to interact with such disciplined and hard-working people and work side by side in a corporation, in a transnational corporation together. The economies are so intertwined that sort of good environments and stable and economically successful environments anywhere in the world today is good for the entire global economy.
It's good to have you with us in Wide Angle.
Good to be here.
Thank you.
Thank you.